Welcome back to Elder Scrolls Online. Today I'm going to show you one more interesting thing about the DLC that you can get pretty quick and easily, and that is the new emote that comes with the DLC pack. So you do have to own the DLC in order to be able to get this emote. It's just a cool little thing, you know, it's not a big deal. And then I'm going to go over some of the more important changes that came with the DLC. I did not cover it in yesterday's video because the video was running a bit too long, so it was going to have to be broken up into kind of the cosmetic stuff versus the pretty important stuff. So to get the basically there is an emote that you get with the DLC, and you can go into any of the two dungeons. They're both located in Craglorn. This is the easiest one to get to. This is Falkreath Hold. You just get to this Elinhir Way Shrine and travel down the road, across the bridge. All of this is friendly territory, and so you're standing at this gate. This gate's been here for a while. You know, we never quite knew where it led, but now we do. This is the Falkreath Hold dungeon entrance. And all the patch notes say is that you have to enter one of the two dungeons to get the emote. By the way, the closest house to this dungeon is actually the Domus Frasticus. Literally right over there. Those are the stairs to that house. So, if you really find that you love this dungeon, it might be a nice place for you to live. But expect a lot of foot traffic out here for people coming in and out of the dungeon. So to get the emote, all you have to do is enter the dungeon. That's what the patch note says. So let's just go enter. I'm not in a group. I'm not going to run the dungeon at this point. I'm just going to go in and get my little emote. And hopefully this is an accurate patch note. And there you have it. As soon as I enter the dungeon, I get the new emote, and I also get the Horns of the Reach Explorer achievement, just for entering this dungeon. So let's see what this emote does. Emote, bullhorns, okay? So, I don't think you can run it by clicking on it. You have to type the bullhorns emote out into the screen. So let's turn around, get some light, turn around. All right, let's do this. Okay, so in the chat we type bullhorns. You can see it's right there ready to click, and then hit enter. We'll see what happens. Alright, there you go. There you have it, the bullhorns emote just for walking in this dungeon. Pretty big dungeon. I'm not going to go through it. Obviously, I'm not in a group. So that's all I wanted to point out about this little DLC gimmick. Easy to get. Don't have to do the dungeon to get it. Just step right on in and it's yours. Now, I do want to kind of go over the rest of the patch notes real quick. Hopefully real quick. It's not that quick, actually. So let me switch over to that. Okay, so the second part of this is about the combat balance, and usually they quote-unquote combat balance about every 3 months, or whenever they drop a DLC or a new zone or whatever the heck it is. They do every 3 months. So this time they've decided to adjust a few things. The meta will change, whatever it is. This is why I kind of I find a set that I like, and then I just stick with it. And if it doesn't work out, maybe one of my other characters is working better during a particular period of the game than another, and then funny things happen, and sometimes the old gear comes back into style, it's been revamped or whatever, but I just don't have enough time to be grinding completely new gear or setups every single time they drop a patch or big DLC. But, you know, there are people who go through and they make their videos on YouTube's and their websites and everything just about, that's pretty much all they do, is they adjust everything, the meta, to the whatever the new most current situation in combat is. And so those are the people you want to go to find out what all of this means for you and your personal lives on this game. But basically I'll just go over it because I do like to at least understand what the changes are. So general, they adjusted the elemental status effects, so all this is going to affect your mages, such as burning or concussion, so they now scale with your max magicka or max stamina in addition to spell damage or weapon damage. So I think the game seems to be moving a little bit more towards a hybrid friendly game so that stamina and magicka things can work together. That's kind of what it looks like when they started this with the warden, and they seem to be adjusting things a little bit even more now. So the damage has also been adjusted due to the scaling and should remain relatively unchanged. So they switched some things out, and it's supposed to come out to be basically the same effect. So you can read the patch notes more about how this affects things. So burning, poison, and concussion and chilled effects are all changed a little bit. Summoned pets from abilities and item sets now move 10% faster. Dodge roll grants immunity to immobilizations when it's being used while you are silenced. There's apparently some deal during this patch that they want things to happen even when you're silenced, which is kind of weird. So I guess, you know, the mage's negate thing is going to be a little bit harder to rely on, maybe, in PvP, I suppose. The damage dealt by execute abilities such as Assassin's Blade, Reverse Slash now work more intuitively with global damage done bonuses such as Mighty or Minor Berserk. Execute bonus damage is now multiplicative with global damage bonuses instead of additive. Dragonite. Now, see, earlier in the patch notes, they specifically separated out the warden to talk, but before you went through a whole bunch of garbage about all of the bugs and the beautiful things that they fixed before they even got to combat. So why the warden was separated out from the rest of these classes, I don't know. Maybe because you have to buy an expansion in order to play him. I don't know. I'm just gonna be a whiner now. So Dragonite, Ardent Flame, Combustion. This passive ability now increases the damage of burning and poison by 25 and 50% down from 33 to 66. Okay, why do we increase the damage when we're not? We're lowering it. Okay. Draconic Power, Dark Talons. This ability and Choking Talons morph now deal magic damage instead of physical damage, so we're getting our Dragonites to be a little bit more magicka based. Earthen Heart, a bit Obsidian Shard, Stone Fist morph, increase the radius of the heal from this morph to 28 meters from 10 meters. So magicka based Dragonites are getting a little bit of love, it looks like. So, except for that combustion, which has me confused. Sorcerer Storm Calling. Surge, the ability in its morphs now use your highest critical strike rating to determine their critical strike chance. Guild, Fighters Guild Dawnbreaker, the ability in its morphs can no longer be dodged. Wow. Mage's Guild Fire Rune, this ability and its morphs are now hidden to enemy players. So somehow I don't like this. I don't think it should be hidden. I think you should get a telegraph. I mean, it's a rune. It's glowing on the ground. You can see it. It's not that hidden. So the other players should be able to see it. Champion system, Shield Expert, this 30-point unlock now increases your spell and physical resistance by 1500 when you are using a shield or frost staff. Instead of increasing the armor value from your shield by 75%, we have also renamed this ability to Bulwark. So I guess we're not done messing with the champion system. Buffs and debuffs, major, minor, defile. This debuff now also decreases the enemy health recovery in addition to decreasing their healing received. And, you know, when you read through these, there's always a developer comment and some more controversial things that they've done. Alright, hold on to your hats, folks. This is big. Basically, the Mundus Stones have all been changed. So, the Apprentice now increases spell damage to 238 from 168. The Atronach increases Magicka recovery to 238 from 167. I'm sorry, did I say 168? That's weird. 167. The Lady now grants spell resistance in addition to physical resistance. And it is increased to 2752 from 1980. The Lover now grants 2752 physical and spell penetration instead of granting spell resistance. So that's kind of a big thing for the Lover. That makes it a little bit more useful. The Lord increased maxed health from to 2231 from 1452. The Mage increased max Magicka. The Serpent increased stamina recovery. The Shadow reduced the bonus critical damage to 9% from 12. Now that's a big hit. That's a big hit. The Steed increased health recovery. The Thief reduced critical strike chance to 7% from 12. That is also a big hit. The Thief is one of my favorite ones. I think I use it on both magic and stamina. So now I've been hearing perhaps moving on to the Shadow. But this is all because of some of the other changes they're making. So we'll go over that in a minute. The Tower increased max stamina. So all of these got some pretty nice buffs. The Warrior increased weapon damage. And the Ritual remains unchanged for some reason. They're doing some stuff about hiding visual effects to reduce the visual noise in group combat. Hopefully that will help with lag. So some of these things have affected player abilities and item set abilities. I've got a whole list here. You can look at that. Summon pets will no longer despawn and respawn when attempting to follow you. So some pet stuff. Okay. So there's some issue fixes. Now there was a whole bunch of stuff about itemization bonuses. Defending, reduce the spell and physical resistance. So this is a big one. This is a nerf. So resistance used to be 160 and now it's 2752. But there is still a reason for that. So infused, increase the bonus value granted to the applied enchantment to 30 from 20 and increase the cooldown reduction to the applied enchantment from 50 to 40. Nernhound, increase the bonus to the weapon's damage to 15 from 11%, so maybe Nernhound is back in again. Powered, increase the bonus to healing done to 9% for 7. Sharpened, reduce the spell and physical penetration granted to 2752 from 5160. And charged, intricate, ornate, precise, and training remain unchanged. Prosperous Armor trait has been redesigned to give it a combat function. It now grants 11 health, magicka, and stamina recovery as a gold quality item instead of gold gain. Due to these changes, this trait has been renamed to Invigorating. Reduce the damage on the damage health Oblivion weapon enchantment by 36%. Okay, nerf to Oblivion. Alright, this is something. Oblivion cannot critically strike. And it will be more effective against heavily armored targets. Or targets that spend a lot of time blocking. Okay. Alright, so that's a PvP based decision. Weapon enchantments will no longer proc if the initial attack is dodged. Only the weapon you are currently holding will now proc enchantments. This resolves some issues where you would cast an ability, then weapon swap, and your weapon enchantment would proc from the weapon you weren't currently holding. Yes, I've seen some combat videos where they go through explaining how to weapon swap and do all that stuff. Now that's fixed, I guess. Item sets. Universally adjusted the values of some 2, 3, and 4 piece bonus stats for all item sets. So it looks like most of these have max health, magic, or stamina, weapon crit, spell crit, physical or spell resistance have all been increased. Physical and spell penetration have been decreased. Monsters summoned by item sets procs now inherit any bonuses you have. The most notable bonuses are damage done and healing done from passive abilities, major minor buffs, or champion system. Okay, so there's a bunch of set item changes, so you might want to check up on your sets. Necropotence, this is a big one. Reduce the magicka increase granted by this item set. Mother Sorrow, increase the spell critical strike rating granted by this item set. Okay. So those are two very popular sets, and so that might affect some people. Nerenith, that's the helmet. I use this on one of my characters. Increase the damage of this item set's proc by 20%, and decrease the delay from when this item set procs to when it deals damage to 2 seconds from 3 seconds. Wow. Buff to Nerenith. Nice. Night Flame got a buff and changed the bonus, 1 piece bonus to max magic instead of health. Okay, nerf to Plague Doctor. Poisonous Serpent. Decrease the damage of the poison damage, but increase the proc chance. So I'm not sure if that's still a good set. Okay, so there's basically go look at these patch notes and see if any of your set items have been upset over these. Okay. More Engine Guardian. The monster summoned by this item set's proc will now stick by your side instead of attempting to wander off and engage enemies. Okay, so basically that's it. The main things were big changes to the Mundus Stones and big changes to every single set. So somehow it balances out. Somehow. A lot of it's just too much for me to really delve into, and there are people on YouTube that do this thing all the time, so I would go look for some of the build guys to look at their videos and see what they think about all of this. Somehow, the changes to the Mundus Stone is balanced out by the changes to the set pieces and the changes to the weapon enchantments and traits. Somehow, it's supposed to balance out. So what that does mean for me is not much, because I pretty much don't have any intention of changing my setup. It still works for me. As long as it works, I'm not going to be busting my butt trying to change my gear all around every 3 months. So that's it. I will go ahead and leave the link below to go in and everybody go look at your set items, see what changed and what didn't. Things you like, things you don't like. That's it for me. I think that's it for this whole patch note thing. So for now, that's it. And I will talk to you later. Hope that you liked the video. I know it's maybe kind of boring to listen to somebody else read patch notes, but those are just some things that I noticed, and at least we got an emote out of this video. So I will talk to you next time, and thank you for watching.